Welcome to this explainer. So today, we're diving into why pretty much everything you know about success, talent, and intelligence, well, it might be completely wrong. I mean, we constantly look at the world's highest achievers and just assume, oh, they were born with a special gift, right? But what if the real defining factor of success isn't raw brain power at all, but rather the mental world you live in?
Okay, let's kick things off with a bit of a counterintuitive question. Just imagine a child comes home with a totally perfect test score. Our immediate instinct is usually to say something like, "Wow, you're so smart, you're a total genius." We honestly think we're building up their confidence, but what if telling a child they're smart actually sets them up for failure down the road? What if that exact praise is literally the quickest way to make them terrified of trying anything difficult?
Turns out constantly praising intelligence actually creates a super fragile ego. It instills this deep fear of failure because suddenly the child becomes terrified of doing anything that might expose them as, well, not being smart. The big secret we're exploring today is that success actually isn't driven by your innate talent, it's driven by your mindset. It's all about your core beliefs regarding whether or not you can actually grow and improve.
All right, so now that we're officially hooked on this psychological mystery, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The myth of natural talent. 2. Fixed versus growth mindset. 3. The science of brain growth. 4. Mindsets in the real world. And finally, 5. How to change your mindset.
Section 1. The myth of natural talent. Let's go ahead and debunk a deeply ingrained societal belief.
So, our explainer today is completely anchored in the landmark work of Stanford psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck. For over 30 years, she studied this exact puzzle. Why do some people just bounce back from failure, while others are totally devastated by the tiniest setback? Her book Mindset outlines this incredible discovery that a single, powerful belief about our own potential actually matters way more than IQ.
You know, as a society, we have this intense obsession with effortless perfection. Dweck actually highlights a Duke University study that shows this massive anxiety among undergraduates who are constantly striving for what they call effortless perfection. It's this desperate need to display flawless scholarship and beauty without ever appearing to try at all. We have this false belief that if you have to work hard, you must not really be a genius. But honestly, this myth just creates massive anxiety and severely limits our ability to actually learn.
Moving right along to Section 2, Fixed versus Growth Mindset. Let's systematically dismantle this idea of static intelligence.
Okay, if you look at the core matrix of these two brains, the differences are wild. The fixed mindset believes intelligence is entirely static. Basically, you either have it or you don't. And because of that, effort is actually seen as a sign of weakness. Conversely, the growth mindset believes your abilities can absolutely be developed through strategy and feedback. In this world, effort isn't a lack of talent. It's literally the path to mastery.
And this dichotomy, it completely changes how we process the world around us. In the fixed mindset, failure is basically an identity. Like, if you get a bad grade, you are a failure. So your entire goal in life just becomes protecting your ego. But over in the growth mindset, failure is just an action. It's a problem to be solved. It simply means you are learning.
Now, one of the most powerful tools Dr. Dweck outlines is just this amazingly simple linguistic trick, the power of yet. When someone with a fixed mindset hits a wall, they usually just say, "I'm not good at this," period. It's a total dead end. But if you just add the word yet to the end of that exact sentence, "I'm not good at this yet," you instantly transform what feels like a permanent failure into this awesome journey of ongoing progress.
Which brings us to Section 3, the science of brain growth. Because this isn't just feel-good psychology, it's anchored in hard biological science.
The whole concept of the growth mindset is heavily backed by neuroplasticity. See, the brain is not some static computer. It's a dynamic, living, growing system. Research actually proves that our brains physically change when we struggle, when we use good strategies, and when we practice. Our neural networks are actively growing brand new connections and building insulation that speeds up the transmission of impulses. It's pretty amazing.
So the really crucial point here is that struggling with a difficult task absolutely isn't a sign that you've reached your intellectual limits. The brain is literally like a muscle. Effort is the actual biological requirement for expanding your mental capacity. Every single time you push through a hard challenge, your brain is actively getting stronger. All right, Section 4, Mindsets in the Real World. How do these mindsets actually impact high-stakes environments where the pressure is just immense?
Take Michael Jordan, for example. We always call him a natural genius, but remember, he was famously cut from his high school basketball team. If he had a fixed mindset, he probably would have just quit right there. But Jordan's exact formula was built entirely on growth. He used that failure to fuel his hunger. He obsessively studied game footage to analyze his own weaknesses. When he realized he took too many shots, he dedicated himself to passing so he could improve the whole team. And that relentless, focused effort, it resulted in 6 NBA championships.
And we see the exact same thing playing out in the corporate world. Leaders with a fixed mindset often develop what's called CEO disease. Take Lee Iacocca at Chrysler. Leaders like him need to be seen as absolutely perfect right out of the gate. They surround themselves with worshipers and end up creating this really dangerous groupthink. Now compare that to growth-minded leaders like Lou Gerstner, who famously turned IBM around by actively seeking out constructive criticism. He focused on long-term improvement rather than just searching for short-term ego boosts.
Finally, Section 5. How to change your mindset. If the growth mindset is really this beneficial, how do we actually get there?
Dr. Dweck actually provides a very precise 4-step framework for rewiring your daily reactions. Step 1, you have to actually pause and listen to that internal fixed mindset voice, the one saying, "What if you fail?" Step 2, recognize that you have a real choice in how to interpret that challenge. Step 3, talk back to it. Remind yourself that super successful people fail all the time, and this is just an opportunity. And finally, Step 4, take action. You have to persist, even when it feels really uncomfortable.
Now, I want to pause for a second because it is absolutely vital to acknowledge the nuances here. Mindset is not a magic wand. We really have to watch out for the false growth mindset, which is basically just praising empty effort without ever teaching new strategies. Also, studies show that mindset interventions sometimes only have modest effects, especially in academics. And most importantly, we absolutely cannot let a focus on individual mindset downplay very real systemic barriers and socioeconomic disadvantages. It's a powerful tool, sure, but it is not a cure-all.
But as a tool, it is profoundly transformative. I want to leave you with this absolute philosophical mic drop from the text. Becoming is better than being. See, the fixed mindset demands that you already be perfect. The growth mindset, on the other hand, gives you the grace and the power to become. So, are you ready to step off that pedestal of perfection and start the messy, beautiful work of actually growing? Think about that the next time you encounter a tough challenge. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.